Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. It is Monday, June 27th, and this is our Westchester Weekly Update with information on issues that are affecting Westchester County. We're very happy to be with you today. I'm going to be joined in a few minutes by our Director of Economic Development, Bridget Gibbons, and our Director of Operations, Joan McDonald, as we go over some efforts that we're going to try to make to deal with the economic impact as much as a county government can of the inflationary cycle that we're all facing and the problems in our home pocketbooks and some of the things that the county government can do to address that. We'll have Ken Jenkins, our Deputy County Executive, joining us as well for some of the other announcements. And in a second, I have the opportunity to introduce the Supervisor of the town of Cortlandt, Dr. Richard Becker, who is our Municipal Partner Visitor for the Week. As you know, if you follow these programs each week, we invite the elected mayor of a village or a city or the supervisor of a town to join us each week to give us an update about their community. There's 45 different communities in Westchester County, and they're all very different in certain ways, and each one is hometown to some portion of our 1 million people. And most people are very committed to their hometowns, and it's helpful if you live in Community A to know more about Community B from one end of the county to the other. So we're happy to be able to use this opportunity to introduce you in sequence to those who've been elected to serve in that capacity and who know the most about their community and would be helpful. I just want to mention a couple of things that are in general before we get to that. We are at a point where we're heading toward Independence Day weekend. This, on the 27th of June, is the last week of the month of June, and we go into Friday, July 1st, and heading toward the Monday celebrated 4th of July day. And of course, it's a big recreation day in Westchester County, and a lot of things are going to be happening. Our pools are open now. They opened as of this past weekend. We have 4 public pools across Westchester County. We have, in the city of Yonkers, 2 separate locations, Tibbetts Brook Pool in Tibbetts Brook Park, which is in the central part of Yonkers off of Midland Avenue. We also have Sprainridge Pool, which is along Jackson Avenue. It's in Yonkers, but it's very close to the border with Greenburgh and the village of Hastings. We have Saxon Woods Pool in White Plains, right on Mamaroneck Avenue. That is the access to the pool side of Saxon Woods. Saxon Woods Park is a very large park with a golf course, and it also has a soccer field and a miniature golf course, as well as hiking trails. It's the Mamaroneck Avenue exit, right off of the Hutchinson River Parkway, that accesses the Saxon Woods Pool. The 4th pool complex that we have is Wilson Woods Pool in Mount Vernon. And in the middle of last week, we found out that there was a rupture of a water pipe that goes beneath the wave pool that we have there. The wave pool, as you can imagine, is a lot of fun for young kids and for any of us. And it represents part of what our water feature offerings are at Wilson Woods Pool. The unfortunate pipe rupture required us to close the wave pool this past weekend. We did keep open 3 other elements of the park, water features that we thought were still important, help kids cool off in the aqua spray and what have you. But we are looking forward to reporting back to you at some point in time, as soon as we can, to know what the time frame is for repair of Wilson Woods. We do not know exactly what the circumstances are, but keep in mind that the Wilson Woods Pool is still open. There are still a couple of the water features that are there for kids to enjoy. It will be open over this coming Independence weekend, as will the other 3 pools, and those will all be available for our enjoyment. I also want to highlight that we have 2 beaches in Westchester County. One of them is in the village of Croton-on-Hudson, which is within the town of Cortlandt, Croton Point Park Beach, which faces out to the Hudson River side in the northwest portion of the county, and the exact opposite end of the county, the southeast portion of the county, we have Glen Island Beach, which is the largest of the facilities that we have in the city of New Rochelle. And we hope that both of those are going to be open and get quite a lot of use over the course of the weekend. There is a residency requirement at the Glen Island Beach. So obviously, if you're a Westchester resident, you show your residency, proof of your residency. Usually your driver's license suffices, and we'll be happy to have you there. Also, as we look ahead to this weekend, we should point out that we do not have Bicycle Sunday this coming Sunday on the Bronx River Parkway. We started Bicycle Sunday the first weekend of May. It operates with the exception of the month of August through the end of October. But we take off the 3 holiday weekends, Memorial Day, now Independence Day weekend, and then later Labor Day weekend, as a reflection of the travel schedules for people and manpower and so forth. So no Bicycle Sunday this coming Sunday, which is Independence Weekend. Bicycle Sunday resumes the following weekend in July and will continue throughout the month of July. We also have a terrific opportunity coming up as we reinstitute our various ethnic heritage festivals. There aren't any scheduled for this weekend, but over the last few weeks we've had our Polish Heritage Festival, our Albanian American Heritage Festival. This past weekend we celebrated the Irish American Heritage Festival. That was held at Ridge Road Park. We had the African American Heritage Festival. That was at Kensico Dam Plaza, both large attendance, and we have more of them coming up. The Italian American community, the Jewish community, the Muslim community, and we have a couple of others that will be terrific. We've had the Asian American community already, and those heritage festivals are back in business. We know that we've been concerned about COVID, but we're managing all of our parks, the pools, the beaches, and the ethnic heritage festivals with a mind to make sure that if we have any outbreak of COVID, that we deal with it directly. We have information tables in each of those locations. We have at-home test kits that are available for you to obtain while you are there if there's any concern that you want to test after you've been in that kind of a setting. Masks are optional at all of these different locations, but you certainly are welcome to wear a mask. There is no attached perception to that. Each person knows their own health situation. If your health is subject to some concern over the potential for infection, then you're welcome to do that while you're with us, and some number of people do. But we're trying to really enjoy all of the different elements of our great parks and recreation system. We have 55 parks across Westchester County, and all of them are going to be up and operative. In a little while, we'll talk about the signature feature of the weekend, which will come up with our July 3rd events at Kensico Dam Plaza. It's going to be rather significant, back in business after a couple of years of being out. So we'll cover that as a separate, discrete thing. But you should know that our county park system is up and operative. We still have our public golf courses operating. We have restaurants at each of those public courses. They're a nice place to stop to get a bite, whether you're playing a round of golf or not. We have 6 nature centers around the county, spread out all across from Trailside up and Cross River to Lenoir Preserve in Yonkers. You have both the Marshlands Conservancy and the Reed Sanctuary in the city of Rye, Cranberry Lake Preserve in North White Plains, all wonderful opportunities to go out and walk in the woods. And the newly renovated North County Trailway, South County Trailway, Bronx River Parkway Reservation that's now been connected through the pathway through the Scarsdale-Hartsdale area. We're very proud of the park system. This is a system that has been in effect for a long time. We, in this administration, have worked hard to renovate them, to get the various capital projects in place, and we've had some good success now over the years to get them all back in shape and give you the recreational opportunities ahead that you deserve to have. And so that's all coming up in Independence Weekend, coming up the end of this weekend. We'll tell you a little bit more about the Kensico Dam fireworks in a second. So I'd like to call upon now our municipal partner, visitor for this week. He is the town supervisor of the town of Cortlandt, Dr. Richard Becker. Dr. Becker, who is an established medical professional, has been a member of the council in the town of Cortlandt for a number of years. He served under the leadership of former town supervisor Linda Puglisi, a good friend who served multiple decades as supervisor of the town of Cortlandt. And the town of Cortlandt is a large physical area in the northwest corner. It wraps around the city of Peekskill. It includes the village of Croton-on-Hudson and the village of Buchanan, and a significant unincorporated area that extends over a wide area. If you think in a down county context, from one end to the other, if you were the southern part of Cortlandt, you drove to the northern part of the Cortlandt, you would be going further than going from the Bronx up the Sound Shore and going into Connecticut. That's how large Cortlandt is in comparison to another side of the county. But Dr. Becker and his colleagues are doing a terrific job managing that, and we have a particular role in the county police that we work with Cortlandt. He'll no doubt touch on that. So we're happy to have him here with us, Supervisor of the town of Cortlandt, Dr. Richard Becker. Dr. Becker, Mr. Supervisor.
Executive.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is a wonderful opportunity, and I really appreciate the dialogue, the back and forth that we have with the county executive, where we as county elected officials hear what's going on countywide, and we also have the opportunity to express what's going on locally to the county executive, so he's up to date. I took office in January of this year, and one of the first things I did was to conduct a scientific research-based study about the town of Cortland. And what I learned didn't surprise me. It is indeed the best place to live of those 45 communities in the county of Westchester. As the county executive mentioned, it is a large town. It's 50 square miles with over 170 miles of roads. And the two villages, Croton-on-Hudson is a significant part of the town of Cortland, as is the village of Buchanan. And we also have the hamlet of Verplank that I'll talk a lot about in the next coming moments. But we also have a lot of smaller communities, including the area around Montrose, Continental Village, Coatlight Square, T-Town Preserve an area, and much more than that. Our downtown business area is really around Cortland Town Center, which is a unique retail site because whereas most retail centers are in trouble and in jeopardy and have vacant storefronts, our Cortland Town Center is almost 100% occupied. We have a lot of new retail stores that have moved in, some that are based with ownerships within the town of Cortland. So the town of Cortland is thriving, which leads us to our town motto, where life works. And I hope in the next moment or two to be able to express to you why we've adopted that, where life works. That's the message of today, because there's so much going on within our town. As far as summer activities, we have a summer concert series at the Cortland Waterfront Park located in Verplank. And what makes this site so unique is it's one of the only areas within Westchester County, almost all the way up to Albany, that's not encumbered by railroad tracks. So when you go to the Waterfront Park and listen to this outdoor concert series, you have a beautiful view of the Hudson. You don't hear the trains rolling by. It's really quite unique. It's a very pleasant place to spend an evening. Our next one is coming up this coming Thursday. Like other communities, we've adopted to pickleball, which has nothing to do with kosher tennis. It has to do with a racquetball game that involves 4 players on a somewhat smaller than normal tennis court. It is very popular, and we are changing over from certain tennis courts to pickleball courts, building new pickleball courts. But we're also expanding our tennis courts. We've opened a brand new one at the town pool. So we're very eager to have people participate in our outdoor recreational activities. And speaking of that, we have the Charles Cook Pool, which is our 50-year-old pool. And we too had a significant leak. First, we had a big storm 2 Saturdays ago that caused a mudslide, and we had to drain the pool, power wash it, and fill it up. And as soon as we got the water back up to its regular level, we discovered that it has a leak. We lost a week while we dug up half the sidewalk around the pool, found the leak, repaired it, and got us operational. But up in Cortland, we're pretty fond of the Cook Pool. It's old, it's leaky, it's squeaky, but it's ours, and it's beautiful. And anyone who hasn't been there should visit it. It has 2 parts to it. One, which is a shallow bowl, which is perfect for kids. It's very large. They can go walk out, and even a toddler will only be up to their knees at the deepest part. But it contains a lot of spray activities, so it's just a lot of fun. And then there's a deeper part with swimming and lanes for those who are serious swimmers, and of course diving too. We've just opened up there at the pool a brand new $2.5 million bathhouse, which has a new snack bar. So it's a comfortable place to visit, very family friendly and oriented. Like the county executive and his desire for information, we started a weekly email newsletter that goes out every Friday afternoon at 4. And I'm very pleased how rapidly this has grown because people had to subscribe to it. Within a period of 3 months, we're up to over 9,000 weekly subscribers. Most of the homes within the town of Cortland now receive this weekly, and we receive information in that we can broadcast out to let people know what's going on in town. One of the projects we're excited about is renovating the Toll House. Anyone who's familiar with the Ansel Circle and the entrance to the Bear Mountain Park, we actually view it from people coming down the parkway or coming south on Route 9. that's the entrance to the town of Cortlandt and the entrance to Westchester. It's a historic toll house, and there's a lot of Revolutionary War history around that spot. And in 2026, we'll be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the founding of America, and we want to use that as a big historic marker. And around the toll house, we have plans to build a farmer's market as well as trailhead map, because that's where you can enter any of the trails that lead all the way up to Anthony's Nose. So we're working with the state, because that's a state park, but we have expectation by next summer that we'll have a really beautiful historic site to see, certainly up and running in full speed by the 2026. I mentioned earlier the Cortlandt Waterfront Park. We've combined several different sites to build a large area along the river, which is very great for recreation and for concerts and just hanging out, watching the boats go by. And just north of that is an area we call the Quarry, which is a very exceptional site that I'm most excited about. The quarry actually dates back to the 1840s, and it was a limestone quarry, and when they excavated this quarry, they went down as far as 250, 275 feet. And when it was abandoned, it slowly filled with water to the point now where we have a quarry pool that is about 30 acres in size and over 250 feet deep. And the most unique thing about it is that the water is crystal clear and aquamarine in color. You just feel like you're down in the Caribbean when you're there. So we have various plans for that, including turning the quarry into a floating dock system where you swim within the docks. We're working with the county. I see Mr. Jenkins here. That will require the Board of Health to guide us, but we are very helpful that within a year or so we'll be swimming in this quarry, so kids will have the experience of swimming in a lake, but in a contained area of crystal clear water that's not chlorinated, that's safe and family friendly. We also have Cortlandt Pitch going in there, which is an indoor soccer facility, and they'll also have some outdoor soccer fields that they're going to donate to the town. It's going to be a very unique area, and most importantly, we're bringing in some commercial customers, specifically restaurants and cideries, so that'll be a real destination for all of Westchester. We also have a youth center that's been open about 10 years. We celebrated its anniversary, and we've recently renovated and expanded that, and that's a site very close to our school system that's very heavily used and a great place for kids to go after school. And finally, I just want to mention a very unique thing that we hope to open this winter, and hoping the county executive and deputy county executive will come join us, and that's an outdoor skating rink. We have a existing very large, over 180 feet by 80 foot roller skating rink, and we're converting it to an ice skating rink. We hope that it'll be open and operational by November. We'll have a winter wonderland. We'll invite everyone to come join us, and I think that's going to be a destination for all folks at Westchester. So there's a lot of exciting things going on in our hometown of Cortlandt. I think it's very unique. As the county executive said, it's a little bit more rural than many of the people south of 287 are used to, but we have commuter railroads right there in both Croton and in the town of Cortlandt itself, and just north of us in Peekskill, so it's very accessible. The county Beeline bus service goes there, so it's very reachable, and those services will bring you right to all the facilities that I mentioned. So thank you, County Executive. That's a little update on our town of Cortlandt, and it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be with you. Thanks so much, Rich. That is Town Supervisor Richard Becker, Dr. Richard Becker from the town of Cortlandt. And again, we thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to working together with you and your town board and your other officials, as well as the village officials within the town. And we look forward to having next week another speaker from another one of our communities to come and give you an update, a very thorough update on what's happening there, and you get a good picture of this mosaic of Westchester. So, Rich, again, thank you for being with us. I want to invite Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, Director of Operations Joan McDonald, to join me. We're going to go over some issues that relate to the inflationary moment that we're in, and I'm very happy to have both Ken and Joan as part of our executive team as we go forward on some of these things. Let me be clear. There are a lot of issues in our society today that we have to deal with, and the different levels of government deal with different elements of what their responsibilities are. The local governments, the towns, the cities, and the villages, just as Dr. Becker said, have certain responsibilities. The county has complementary responsibilities. Of course, the state and the federal government, broader, more societal-related authority. But no one can deny that right now we're in an inflationary moment where the price of a lot of goods and services are rising, and dramatically so. It's most noticeable at the gas pump, but that's not the only place that it's risen at. It's noticeable when you shop for groceries in the food store. It's noticeable when you buy services and products, and the pass-along realities that come from different levels of businesses, each having to face increases in their pricing structure, coming with an overall strategy that affects your pocketbook. It would be foolish to talk about everything else in the society and not mention that as a central concern. And we look to Washington, D.C. and to Albany to have responses that are more direct and profound. However, every one of us has to do something within their scope and authority, and those of us in county government have a responsibility to do what we are capable of doing in that area. Let me remind you, first of all, before we go through some of these things, that over the last 3 budget years, we have reduced the county property tax levy for Westchester County residents. Now, there are some other factors that go into the individual allocation of taxation, the equalization rate established by the state, either the shrinking or the expansion of the tax base assessment rolls for each of the different communities. But we have, for 3 consecutive years, cut county property taxes across this county, and we have a fair shot at doing it for a 4th year. That we'll make that formal announcement once we have made the estimates for budgets, which will come along sometime in the fall. But if there is a central thing that you look forward to, it is what is the taxation policy of the government that you're talking to. And in our case, it is not the dominant portion of your property tax bill. It's approximately 20% of your total bill. But that portion that's county property taxes have been reduced all across Westchester County. You've also know that we made the announcement that Beeline bus fares are now free over the course of the summer, June, July, August, and the first week of September through Labor Day. You can get on a Beeline bus anywhere in this county, and that includes paratransit as well, and not pay a fare. And the performance of our other revenue streams, sales tax revenue stream and mortgage recording tax and so forth, are sufficient to offset the cost that we're not gathering by taking money at the fare box. And for reasons that we've already talked about, I'm just repeating them again, we think this is the right time to be able to do this. For those people that need the bus to get from point A to point B, maybe a senior citizen, maybe indigent, buses are free, and that is a significant savings, particularly if you're a bus rider that uses it regularly. But as far as that goes, that doesn't go as far as we can go. So with the advice of Joan McDonald, the operations team, with Ken Jenkins' leadership, we're announcing a number of other different prospective activities. Keep in mind, we've discussed some of these topics with our colleagues at the Board of Legislators. We are looking to see their feedback on them. A couple of them, I'll point out, will require Board of Legislators actions, but we're not going to submit something for their action until they've had a chance to think it through and discuss it. We have great respect for the Board of Legislators. The leader of the board, the chair, Catherine Borgia, has worked with us very cooperatively, given the fact they're 2 branches of government, and some of these initiatives we think are going to be helpful. The first thing that we can do is to try to help people in terms of their ability to obtain food. And for those people who are poor or working poor, they may have a job but not paying enough money for them to deal with the rise in food costs, we're increasing a significant amount of money to our food pantry system in Westchester County, and we're doing that with the assistance and cooperation of Feeding Westchester, which is the preeminent organization that organizes the collection and distribution of foods directly through local food pantries. And those local food pantries are everywhere. They are at Hope Community Services in New Rochelle. They are at Ridgeway Alliance Church in White Plains. They are located at the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force. They're operating out of a church in Peekskill. They're operating out of a community center in Mount Vernon, all across the county. We're increasing that funding over and above the 2022 budgetary level by $700,000. That is money that is affordable within our budget. We don't have to cut out other services. We don't have to raise taxes to do this. It's already built into the cake. That doubles the amount that we have previously set aside. So we're going up by an additional $700,000, 700 allocated already, we're up to $1.4 million in the aggregate. We see that Feeding Westchester has experienced an increase this year, and the metrics are per pound for the food they provided, up to 71 cents per pound, up from 60 cents per pound, and they're seeing an 18% increase in the overall food costs. And the people that go to the food pantries around the county are having trouble putting enough food on the table for their family members, for their children. This allocation of $700,000 we think will enable Feeding Westchester to support 800,000+ people with additional food services. That's a significant amount in a county with 1 million people. And the savings could be approximately $60 for saving a family that pays $240 a month. So the first bullet in our additional efforts beyond property taxes cut, excuse me, beyond the cut of property taxes and beyond the free bus fares is increasing the amount of available food authorized through food pantries. The next thing that we're doing is to provide free parking at the 2 commuter lots for those who commute into New York City in the 2 commuter lots that are owned by Westchester County. We currently have a commuter lot for the North White Plains train station on the Harlem line, significant parking lot, and we also have the county center parking lot, which is directly to the east of the county center, and that is used by people that commute out of the White Plains train station. Now, White Plains and North White Plains have other parking available to it. They have parking garages, each of them. But for those people that use the county-owned lot, it's a very short walk into the North White Plains train station or into the White Plains train station from either of these 2 locations. Parking will be free. No charge for parking for the months of remainder of June, July, August, into September. Actually, we're going to terminate that at the end of August, so we have full July, full August, and the savings of 2 months' worth of parking fees is significant. The county impact is about $125,000. That is absorbable along with all of these costs, as I mentioned. And we understand that we would do this at other train stations if we had county-owned parking. So where there is Metro North parking, where there is municipal parking that's owned by the different municipalities, they have the opportunity to match either by reducing the parking fees or by eliminating them. But for our purposes, in the 2 county lots that we have, North White Plains and White Plains, both on the Harlem line, we are reducing it to 0 cost to park for commuters. And I might add, the White Plains station and the North White Plains stations draw people from a significant circle around them. People who live in the town of Greenburgh routinely commute out of both of those 2 lots. People that live in the town of North Castle routinely commute out of the North White Plains lot, even though the train station itself is located in the city of White Plains. Both of them are located in the city of White Plains. So we're very happy that we can do that, and we hope that there are other opportunities to do something similar in addition to that. Westchester County has the ability to lower or eliminate the sales tax on residential energy on a quarterly basis. This is the authority to eliminate sales tax, which is provided by the state. New York State governs what items fall responsible for sales tax, and whenever they grant an authority to a local government, in this case the county government, which levies a sales tax, they grant us the authority to lift that sales tax under very set parameters. We cannot do it across the board, but in this particular case, for residential energy, and that goes across the board for all different types of forms of gases, home heating oil, propane, natural gas, electric, wood. For any of the residential heating purposes, it covers homeowners as well as residential units. And we are proposing, with the consent of the Board of Legislators, to eliminate the sales tax for the quarter that begins on December 1st. So that means for the month of December, January, and February, we would have no sales tax on home heating oil products. And during the heart of the winter, which is what December, January, and February is, we think that's going to be a significant savings. This is a way to deal with the rise in energy costs that you're experiencing at the pump, and you're also experiencing in the way you heat your home. And this sales tax situation has to be done with the authority, Board of Legislators review and approval, and it goes before the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. There is a window of time that they must have this in advance, and so if we intend to operate this effective on December 1st, which is one of the targeted dates that we could do this for, we will put together the respective information, and then depending on the structure of the residential unit, either the renter or the landlord, they're eligible. This is a significant fiscal impact. It's an $18 million impact. Once again, this is affordable within the revenue streams of Westchester County. We think this is going to make a significant benefit to the different individuals. We're waiving fees at our county pools during the weekdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those 4 days of the week, if you go to any of our 4 county pools, we are eliminating the fee to go to those pools. Residency rules do apply, but that's for the months of July. We're going to start this program after the Independence Weekend, because Independence Weekend is high demand weekend. But from July 5th through August 31st, on weekdays, Monday through Thursday, no charge, no fees to go to our various county pools. And we know that that is something that will happen on a repeat basis. Individuals, moms, if she's home, will take the kids to the pool to cool them off, and they can do so without paying for parking fees and other admission fees. All of that will be waived. The county is also waiving the fees for civil service exams through the end of the year. If you are applying for a civil service job, this is employment. This may be something where you're unemployed and you want to compete for one of the various county jobs that are available. You normally have to pay a certain fee. That fee has to come out of your pocket. There's no guarantee you're going to get the job. You don't know how you're going to perform on the test. But this will waive those fees as a financial incentive to you. There are other options that are out there that we're going to continue to look at. Joan and her team has been very diligent about looking at this. I'm going to ask her to comment in a second, and Ken as well. There's been some questions about lifting the sales tax on clothing items of $100 or more. That has been made available by the state to the counties, but that cannot go into effect until March 1st, and action would have to be taken. So as of today, it is premature for us to take an action that we could not implement until March. So we're going to assess where we are. Hopefully we'll see the economic situation brighten, but that remains an option for us to consider as we get a little bit closer to it, since we're still in the end of June, for a decision that we would have to make on or about March 1st. But there may be some other options that the state makes available to us. We look for the state and the federal government both for their efforts and energy toward reducing costs and so forth. We have already opted into freezing the sales tax on fuel at the pump, automotive gas, at $3 a gallon. So any increase above $3 a gallon, you are not paying additional county sales tax for that. The state has done a companion action. The problem with trying to regulate prices at the pump by reducing taxation is that does not ensure that the oil companies, as they price their product, will take that money out and you will see it at the pump. The oil companies will determine, and they usually do it on a weekly basis, what they're going to price their product at. You go by the gas station on Monday, it's such and such a price. The following Monday, it's a higher price, and they do that based on a host of different factors. And even if we are reducing the taxation, they may or may not reflect that in a pass-along scenario. The county has no ability to force the oil companies in their pricing structure. So we've taken that action alongside of the free buses, which are within our control as a statement. We know there's pain at the pump, and we look to the federal government perhaps to take the decisive action. And I think, quite frankly, we look to the oil companies to take decisive action. It's our understanding that the oil industry is having record profits right now because of the increase in costs that we're paying at the pump, and the oil companies are doing very, very well for themselves. Now, part of it is the supply and demand that's occurred because of the Ukrainian incursion by the Russians. It has reduced the amount of oil out there in the marketplace. Less supply, large demand, prices go up. That's something we've all learned in school. We learned it as business people out in the marketplace. But the oil companies need to look at what they're capable of doing and determine what they can do to help prices at the pump. Within a county structure, we've done what we can do. So we've lowered property taxes. We have made the bus fares free. We have taken the action that we could legally take at the pump. We're taking action that will be coming up a little bit later in this year with the review and approval of the Board of Legislators to take off the sales tax on residential heating. We're putting more money into feeding people so that through the food pantries there'll be some additional help there. We're suspending the cost of parking for commuting into the city at the 2 parking lots that we control at Metro North stations. We're also waiving civil service exam fees, and we're eliminating the cost of fees at our pools during the Monday through Thursday period of time. We recognize there is an economic problem, and within our authority, we're trying to address that economic problem. I'd like Joan McDonald, who's our Director of Operations, to share a few thoughts, and I'll ask the same of Ken Jenkins. Our Director of Operations, Joan McDonald.
Thank you, County Executive. Picking up on the points that you raised when we started this discussion, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, about the buses and the tax on motor fuel. You asked us to continue to look for ways that we could continue to help not only homeowners but renters that live in this county, which is why we took a look at the sales tax on electricity and on certain things we could do in this county. And that's why it was very important, at your direction, that we take a look at our Parks Department and some of the other things that we do to benefit the residents of Westchester County. And we did it because you've brought fiscal stability to our budget. Every year we go through a process, what we can do, what we can't do, and we have a solid financial footing now that really enables us to do some of these things that you want to do and we do in partnership for the residents of Westchester County. So we will continue to look to see if there are other areas that we can assist everybody as we get through this financial time. Thanks.
Thank you, John. And our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins.
Thanks, County Executive Latimer. George, is certainly another one of the leadership opportunities as you brought all the team together to be able to try to find the ways that we in county government, as you so articulately stated, to be able to recognize and address the concerns of Westchester residents right from the very beginning, to be able to get this ship stabilized, get the finances of the county stabilized, and continue to make sure that we're invested in all of the programs around Westchester County that people want to see and that help the people that government is supposed to be able to help. So in partnership with all of our partners at the levels of government, whether it's at the federal level of government, our state partners, and certainly our municipal partners with the Cortlandt Supervisor here with us today, to be able to address the concerns as we best can. You've said it in being out and about with you all around with Joan and the team. We've been able to see people be so upset about the prices as they rise around us, but controlling the things that we can. We can't control the price of oil, and no matter how much we could cut the taxes, it does not impact people as much as it should, and there's definitely some federal legislation that's necessary. But every time people look around at the leadership of County Executive Latimer and all of us working together to say, what can we do and what kind of things can happen here in Westchester County, at every point of time, that has happened. And because of the team that you've assembled and making sure that we continue to look at these things together, listening to the people of Westchester County and addressing the issues as best as we can, these are significant impacts for people. The free buses, people are just thrilled about that beyond belief, whether they're going to go up to Cortlandt and see some of the great things that are going on around the town, or whether they're going to go to any of the various situations that we have going on in the county, and the free entrance at the pools, right, to be able a Westchester resident, because Westchester residency requirements are still there, but to be able to take the family to get around the pool, those tremendous things that are in our park system, it's a great thing that continues to happen. And again, it's the leadership of your leadership and the leadership of working with the team. So thank you so much, President.
Now, I'd like to highlight the next element of something that we think is very important, and that is our economic development efforts. While we look at the costs here and now that people face, we also recognize that the impact on your wallet has a lot to do with whether or not you have a job and whether or not a good job opportunity is coming up. So we have an action that's going to be coming up just in the next couple of days. Our Director of Economic Development, Bridget Gibbons, is here to talk about a transportation job fair, which is the latest in our series of economic development job fairs that she and her team have been essential in implementing. So Bridget Gibbons, our Director of Economic Development.
Thank you, County Executive. We're pleased to announce that we will be hosting a two-part event this Thursday, June 30th. The morning event is an opportunity for minority women-owned businesses, service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, and disadvantaged business enterprises to learn about contract opportunities with the MTA. It will begin with a panel discussion moderated by our very own Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, and the panelists will include Michael J. Gardner, Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for the MTA, Christine Norman, Norman, Assistant Deputy Chief Supplier Diversity at MTA Headquarters, Tracy Mitchell, Senior Project Manager with the MTA, Gary T. Davis, Business Operations Specialist at the MTA Small Business Development Program. After the panel, there will be time for attendees to speak directly to the MTA representatives to learn about contracting opportunities. The panel begins at 10 o'clock a.m. The afternoon session, which begins at 1 o'clock p.m., will be a job fair for careers with transportation companies. Exhibitors range from employers at the Westchester County Airport, the Liberty Lines Bus Company, to Red Oak Transportation. The job fair is open to all job seekers from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Attendees are encouraged to bring multiple copies of their resume and be prepared for on-the-spot interviews. Both events will take place at the New York Power Authority, 123 Main Street in White Plains. To register and for more information, go to westchestercatalyst.com/events or call Martha Lopez, our Director for MWBE Business Development, at 995-2947. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget, and I want to thank Bridget in general and her team. She mentioned Martha Lopez, who's part of that team, also Deborah Novick, Shari Asher, and a number of other people that have been involved in all of these efforts for economic development. That includes, in another context, Joan's responsibility with our Industrial Development Agency and our Local Development Corporation, two separate entities that incent development in this county. When we look at where we are as a society, we see there's certain clear problems, and one of them, in terms of the economics, require us to take action, to take direct, aggressive action, and the efforts made to try to help individuals find jobs. We've had other ones in some of the other targeted areas, advanced manufacturing, financial technology that Bridget and Deb Novick have been involved in, the Launch 1000 program, the Element 46 program, where we deal with incubator opportunities. You have a person and an idea, and how can they take that and turn that into a business? And in some cases where you have individuals and an idea, they've turned it into Generon. And Generon is one of the major U.S. corporations, biotech company based here in Westchester County, just announced this week a major expansion of their operations. The IDA that Joan heads was a contributing element to that. And along with IDA support for Morgan Stanley expansion on the eastern side of the county, both of those two expansions, somewhere between 750 to 1,000 new well-paying jobs that is also going to fuel the housing market in Westchester County. All of these things together represent a response to the economic problems that we face. And I highlight that it is the work of all of these talented people. It is what Deb Novick does and what Shari Asher does in reaching out to the local chambers of commerce, what Corazon Pineda does, and what Martha Lopez does with the MWBE community, all under the direction of Joan McDonald, what Emily Saltzman does within that operational cohort, and how all of those things play together in addition to the public policy items that we've just talked about. We see the problem, and we deal with it directly, so that there is no fudging around the edges. And we recognize, as I said up front, the federal government has certain responsibilities that we don't have, and so does the state government. But we don't play the blame game of this level of government or that level of government. We do that which we as a county government can do, and we try our best to do it effectively. And when there are problems with our strategies, when we have to reinvent the strategies, we're perfectly comfortable of saying that hasn't been effective. Let's try something different, and let's try something that might be the next way to work. The economic climate is changing on a regular basis. I always jokingly say I'm a 20th century man in the 21st century. I have trouble dealing with all the technology that's before me, the capabilities of the phone that's in my pocket that I'm not fully conversant with, and all of the different things that change the way we do business, different from what it was when I was in the business world. But the bottom line is this county government is trying to address the moment, and the moment that we're in is one where economic concerns are great, and we want to show that we're responding to it. We're not ignoring it. We're not wishing that it would go away. We're addressing it directly. We look forward to working with the state government and the federal government as they too make those same challenges. So thank you, Bridget, for your role in all of this. Joan, thank you for your role in all of this. We would not be where we are without talented people all throughout this government. And I'm personally deeply appreciative. I get far too much personal credit for the work that other people do. I'll take the credit for having Joan and Bridget here to do these types of things. And all of those things are very important. So thank you. Thank you both. We want to be able to touch on a couple of other things. With Ken Jenkins here, I'd like to tap him to talk about the vaccination program that we have for kids. Our COVID numbers have been pretty static now over the last 2 months. We've seen roughly in the vicinity of about 2,800 to 3,000 active cases. I don't feel the urgency to report on numbers that are slightly above or slightly below where they were a week or 2 or 3 ago. We're still hovering around 100 to 110 people hospitalized at any point in time. We have lost fatalities, less than 10 people a month. But generally those are people who are already of advanced age because of their existing illness, more subject to a disease that might become fatal. And unfortunately, those people that have determined that they will not be vaccinated, they are the most vulnerable people. But as we're managing that process, we're still trying to deliver vaccinations. So I'd like Ken to just cover vaccinations that are coming up on our schedule for kids.
Thanks, George. Certainly, as County Executive pointed out, we were recently told the information from the CDC and the FDA that there were now vaccines available for our youngest citizens from 6 months old right up to 6 years old. And for the County Health Department, we are continuing the vaccination program. For Moderna only, for our young folks, they only require 2 doses and no less than 28 days apart from the very first dose. So on the 29th, that's this Wednesday from 2 to 4, we'll be having a clinic that you need to go online, so health.westchestergov.com. I'm sure that the information is scrolling across the bottom of the screen, if not taking up the entire screen, because it's just so important for those folks to be able to do that. You need to book an appointment. You cannot just walk into the door for those at this point in time. Maybe that'll change, right? We also have on Friday, July 1st, again, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. This clinic's going to be for all of the ages. That means from 6 months to 6 months to 5 years and everyone else. But it's a clinic, therefore, from 9 to 2. And then after the July 4th weekend, it'll be 9 to 3 on those Friday appointments. We may add some Saturday times, and depending on the need and the things that are happening in the community. But this is another opportunity at our health clinic to be able to schedule those appointments and get those youngest folks in. There's some folks that have already booked up that first day on Wednesday. Certainly, we want people that take advantage of all of those. And as things change and the information changes, County Executive and our health department have been making sure that everyone has the information to be able to protect themselves as best as they can as we learn to navigate and do the things we have to do with the COVID virus, as well as any variants that happen. So that's where we are. The appointments are available on the website, and you can go there right now.
Okay. And I'm going to call Ken back up in a couple of minutes to do a little bit more stuff here, try to spread it around. So the thrust that you're seeing in terms of the services and the activities of Westchester County, I want to repeat one that we talked about last week. We had a press conference in Ardsley on Thursday, and we put out statistics. We have gotten the most recent information from the New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services, the reporting of index crimes by each of the different local police departments in Westchester County. As they report their statistics, they are aggregated by the state of New York, not by Westchester County. We just retrieve it off of the website, and it shows that over the last 4 years, from 2017 to 2021, crime in Westchester County is down in every category, every category. There are violent crimes such as murder, rape, aggravated assault. There are crimes that represent crimes to property, things such as larceny, motor vehicle theft, and in each one of those different categories, crime in Westchester is down. Now, I've seen some of the comments on the Facebook, the post that follows when we put this up on social media where people assert that the numbers aren't right. And what can I tell you? These are numbers that come directly from New York State, reported on by the local police department. If you want to argue that they're not accurate, then you're accusing the local police department of lying, you're accusing New York State of lying. I think what it really comes down to is there's an ideology out there, and there's a narrative attached to that ideology. But when COVID numbers go up, we say so. When COVID numbers go down, we say so. And when COVID numbers are flat, we say so. When we've been able to reduce taxes, we've said so, and it's backed up by what happens when you get your property tax bill. These aren't imaginary positions. These are hard facts. And in this society, we're losing our sense of truth. We tend to believe what we want to believe, and we want to force facts into a pattern that supports what our belief system is. But sometimes facts are difficult to accept, and for some people who want to see a narrative that says you should be very afraid, you should look at government as being unresponsive to your needs, and in this particular case, crime is running rampant, it just isn't true. And I'm more than happy to debate those individuals on Facebook. There are a lot of key top warriors who have a lot to say when they're hiding behind the screen. But the bottom line is the actual facts by the men and the women that are out fighting crime, reporting crime, proves that in Westchester County, crime is down over the last 4 years. Now, that does not mean there are not incidents of crime. Somebody responds by saying, oh, look at this crime that happened. This person did this violent thing. Those types of crimes happen. They happen every day in some part of the world. You have tough laws against crime in Texas. You have death penalty, and you still have a person who goes in and shoots 20 kids in a school because the depravity of the individual isn't affected by government policy. And if the police don't intercept them properly, and that's an issue to be dealt with in Texas, then there's tragedy that follows. But let's be clear. An incident cannot be turned into a trend unless it's being willfully manipulated by people that want to willfully manipulate your point of view. Crime in Westchester is down. That's a fact. That's a provable fact. And it's down in Ardsley at the top of the alphabet, and it's down in Yorktown, which is at the bottom of the alphabet, and in all of the communities in between, every single one of them. The urban centers as well as the suburban centers as well as the towns. And in some cases, the county government is involved in a certain amount of those services. We provide local police services in the town of Cortlandt, in the village of Mount Kisco. But in other places, it's not the county police at all. It's the local police. And they get the credit for the work that they've done, using technology, using community policing, using the staffing and the resources that are at their fingertips. And we have fully funded the police in Westchester County. I get a little tired of listening to people who quote what some person says someplace else when the fact is simple. We put in $52.8 million in this county budget to support our police department. That is the highest amount ever put aside for the county police department. And we are in the process of reforming that police department. We are in the process of recruiting a more diverse police force. We are working to have the kind of support for mental health services that we need to have. And we use technology that I so jokingly referred to with now apps that can help you connect to the county police and cut down the communication process. All of these are reforms and more that are coming. But in every one of these questions, whether you're looking at the economic pressure that we have, how do we respond? The level of taxation, which we've responded by lowering taxes. What do we do about economic development, whether it's small business who launch 1,000 or major businesses like Generon or Morgan Stanley? How do we respond to try to help people find jobs? How do we respond to crime? In every one of those indicators, we are doing everything we can think of to try to help address those issues. And I think it's important for you to understand that and for you to know what's true. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can find it for yourself. You can go on the New York State website for the Department of Criminal Justice Services. Look for the link that will give you statistical data. You have to look around a little bit. It's easy to find if you know how to find something. You can go on it. There's a grid. There's a link to every single county in the state of New York. You can look for Westchester. Click on that, and you'll see the grid that goes in alphabetical order by all the police departments, and it aggregates the numbers at the bottom. We've looked at the FBI website that somebody refers to. The FBI on their website does not break down county statistics. They have New York State aggregate statistics. And I am not talking about the state of New York in the aggregate. I am talking about Westchester County, which is our responsibility. And in Westchester County, crime is down. In Westchester County, we're responding to the economic problems that we face. In Westchester County, we're responding to the job needs. In Westchester County, we're responding in each of these different areas in a substantive, thoughtful way. And we haven't solved the problems. We keep working to go forward. One of the issues that we're working to go forward on, we've already talked about this, we have the next upcoming step in this, is the community dialogue about the future of Westchester County Airport. We have held 3 public hearings in person. I've chaired 2 of them. Ken has chaired 1, and Ken is going to cover what's coming up next with our virtual public hearing. Ken.
All right, and to continue the public dialogue with the airport, the county executive wanted to ensure that everyone had an opportunity to participate, and we're going to continue to be around the county as we move forward. But the first virtual public hearing is coming up on July 6th. That's going to be continuing our open conversation on the horizon, which is being managed by our vendor that's doing the services for us, but that's going to be an virtual public hearing. That's going to be July 6th at 6 p.m. You have to register to be able to speak at that. That specific website is going to be on the screen. It will also be online on our airport master planning website, which is hpmmasterplan.com, right, that we will have that information to be able to see the things that are going on for this virtual public hearing. It's your opportunity to speak. The county executive always reminds people that you need to be able to speak and let your voice be heard on this very, very important economic development engine for Westchester County. But there's certainly things, and it's a neighborhood, as the airport says now. It's not an airport, it's a neighborhood, and your voice is important. July 6th at 6 p.m. virtually.
Thanks, Ken. Very good. As we come down to the closeout of our report for today, we'll take some questions from the press in a second. We do have Music Fest and fireworks returning on July 3rd to the Kensico Dam Plaza. Now, July 3rd is Sunday night, this coming Sunday night, not quite a week away, and it's going to be at the Kensico Dam Plaza in Valhalla. We're expecting to get a huge crowd, so if you can get there early and park, you'll get the best possible parking space, but we know that we get overflow parking the closer we get to the fireworks, and fireworks begin later in the evening after the sun goes down. The pre-concert entertainment begins at 5 p.m. with a guest DJ, and it's followed at 7 p.m. by the FDR Drive Band that will be performing. I happened to see them at Pelham at the Gazebo concert they had just a week ago tonight, and good local band. You'll see them in different summer concerts all around the county. They begin at 7. Spectacular fireworks with the historic Kensico Dam in the background follows at 9:15. Admission and parking is free, but we suggest carpooling. Pool your resources because it's going to be difficult traffic the closer you get to the hour of fireworks, and concert goers should bring a lawn chair. They should bring a blanket so that you can seat. You can bring a picnic supper if you'd like. The Music Fest is presented by the Westchester County Parks Department. It's sponsored by Captain Lawrence Brewing Company and the Westchester Parks Foundation, and we have support from radio station 100.7 WHUD-FN. And if you don't know where Kensico Dam Plaza is, shame on you. It's located at the north end of the Bronx River Parkway in Valhalla, or the south end of the Taconic Parkway. That's where the two parkways meet, and there's a big circle that you have to negotiate. It's not very far from Route 22. If you're going from White Plains north on Route 22 or from Bedford south on Route 22, you go past some beautiful lakes coming south after you pass through Armonk. And you're able to get right into Kensico Dam Plaza. And you can come by train. Metro North's Harlem line, now you have to check the times because the Valhalla station is not an express stop, but you can stop at the Valhalla train station and walk to Kensico Dam Plaza, so you don't even have to have a car. And all of that would be helpful. But that's coming up this Sunday night. Put it on your calendar. It's a great way to spend Independence Weekend with all of us. So our recreation efforts are there, along with our cost-cutting efforts, with our efforts to reduce crime, with our efforts to deal with economic development. And we hope that as we close out this midway point of the year, which will close on June 30th, 6 months until New Year's Eve. We will have completed the first half of the 2022 years. We're pulling out of COVID, we hope, and we're trying to show you the energy and the drive and the determination that we have. This marks the 4.5-year mark of this administration. Assuming that we have the opportunity to serve a full term. It's 4.5 years in the basket, 3.5 years to go. As you know, I authored and the Board of Legislators agreed to pass a term limit law. So I am term limited to 2 terms, a maximum of 8 years. But I think what you're seeing is even when a person is term limited, the energy and the drive and the determination does not have to slack off. We are committed as a team to doing everything we can for this county. We love this county, we live here and we work here and we care deeply about it, and We're not perfect, but we're trying to do the best we can. With that, we'll go to any questions that the press has. Our Director of Communications, Catherine Chaffee, is with us. Catherine, do we have any questions?
We do. So we have a few questions first from Eduardo from the Journal News. He asks, what more would you like to see New York State and the federal government do to address costs from inflation?
Well, I think both levels of government, and for that matter, the municipal governments, and I'm sure they're doing this, are making the same assessment that we make. You look at all of the services that you provide that involve a cost factor. You look at the level of taxation, where you can adjust the taxation. You can't do it in property taxes. You can do it in terms of what's under sales taxation, the fees that are charged for different services, and determine which of those you can lift. There's also authority that the federal and the state government have to regulate industries and businesses and to determine whether by sort of negotiations, if not legislation or executive action, that efforts are made to make as much of an impact on the cost side of the equation as is possible. It's tough to be specific. Certainly, I've not served in the federal government, so the powers and the authority that the president has with the Congress, is an area beyond that. But I would like to think that both the president will, at some point in time, and other levels of government, the town supervisors, the mayors, the governors, certainly the state level, will do just what we're doing, which is announce very clearly these are the things that we're doing right now, and if we can do more things, we'll do more, and try to put those out there. I would say that the moment that we're in now may change over the next 90 days or 120 days. So it's important for us to talk about what we're doing now, and then as we implement those things, assess whether or not they're accomplishing the mission, whether or not this action is actually showing up as a savings to the individual or not. And if it is, you keep it going if you can afford to do it, or you cease it if it's not being effective. But I'd like to see each level of government do it. I'm not saying that isn't being done. I just need for people to understand there are different levels of government. Each of us have a responsibility within our zone. We're certainly doing what we can at the county level.
His next question is, how much is the sales tax elimination expected to save residents?
Well, the sales tax elimination that we're looking forward to doing is on home heating oil. We've identified that's an $18 million cost impact to the county. The savings of that, if you look at what the county's portion of sales tax is, it's in the vicinity of 4%. That's a rounded number. And if you're paying $5 a gallon, whatever you're paying for home heating oil, let's assume that's what it is, you're paying currently 8%, round numbers, 8% sales tax on a $500 bill. That's an extra $40. If we eliminate the county portion of that, which is roughly half of that, then you'd be saving $20 rather than $40 of taxation on a $500 bill. Everybody has different energy costs depending on what type of energy they use, what provider they use. But if you have sort of the oil tank in the basement that has a capacity of 200 gallons and it's $5 a gallon, you do the math. And the halving of the sales tax, because the state sales tax is about half of it and the county's half of it. Now that applies in the communities of Westchester County outside of the four major cities. In the four major cities, the local government has the local sales tax, which is the bulk of it, and the county's portion of sales tax is relatively small, slightly over a point. So it's not the same level of savings by taking that out of the mix. But that gives you a rough idea of how much you might save. And by the way, if, over the course of 3 months, for the sake of home heating oil or other electric, you're going to fill that tank multiple numbers of times. It's not just a one-shot deal. So if you were to save $20 on a $500 bill and you find that you're going to have to get oil 4 or 5 times during that period of time, then you're saving $100, $120 as very round numbers.
Okay, his last question is, taken together, how much are residents expected to save with all of the measures?
Well, it depends on the individual. It really is not easily calculable for that individual. If you can use our 2 commuter lots in White Plains and North White Plains. Let's say that changes your commuting pattern. Let's say you commute out of another train station and you pay there, but you can take your train out of North White, or you can take your train out of White Plains. I live on the Sound Shore. There was a time in my life when I commuted to the city and I drove to White Plains for different reasons, parked here, then went into the city. If I can do that, then a monthly commutation ticket could easily cost me $200 to park a month. So I could save $200 a month by parking at the White Plains or the North White Plains station. I wouldn't have to pay the $200. So that's what the impact of that would be. I've just gone through what the home heating oil could save you, depending on how many times you have to put oil in the tank or use electricity or whatever other alternate means you have. That could amount to a couple of $100s. The food is an issue that really depends on how you obtain food. If you're going to the food pantry and you're getting food for free, that could be $100 worth of food, maybe more, that you can appropriately get from a food pantry. And if you're doing it every week, and there are people that need that kind of help, then you're saving $100 a week or $50 a week multiplied out. So it depends on the individual and how they consume these particular services or products. But and it's an eclectic group of things because the county does not have the authority to govern the society the way the federal government does, or to some degree the state government. But we think that those things can accumulate depending on how you function in your time frame. If you're going to go to a county pool with your kids and you're going to do that 3 or 4 times and you're going to go through 3 or 4 weekdays, how much did you save by not paying for parking? How much did you save by not having the pass? All of that adds up.
Okay, and the last question comes from Barrett Seaman from the Hudson Independent. He asks, will the county consider buying up the Mechanico Lake property to prevent it from being developed?
Well, the parcel that's under discussion for development is a decision that's being made by the town of Mount Pleasant in terms of the authorization of a site plan approval. We've looked at the site and we're trying to get a firm estimate of what we think the land would be if we were to try to obtain it. And you could look at the base value of the land, but that number would be increased when we go to the owner of the property if the owner believes that they can develop it for profitable purposes. So that range of price could be as high as $10, $20 million, depending on how the owner prices it. We don't know that the owner is willing to sell it in a voluntary sales, but we're trying to get an estimate of the price on our own side of the coin, and then whatever dialogue will happen, you can appreciate that we're not going to negotiate in public. We'll have private conversations as is necessary. I know that there's a great desire for people who live in that area to see the development not happen, and that is not an unusual reality. All across the county, there are proposed developments that occur in different parts of the county for which the people who are nearest those developments don't want to see the development happen. And it represents an environmental impact of some sort, certainly traffic, noise, air pollution, as they see it, and a degradation of their quality of life. We have to make the decision as to the land that we attempt to purchase that attaches to a county park, that it has an environmental benefit and a park-related benefit, and those are two separate things. This particular parcel is adjacent to land that has been put in the public domain, and certainly conceptually, it would be a worthwhile addition if it is available for sale, and if we can buy it at a price that we can justify. But we're not going to negotiate in public. We'll have our private conversations, make our assessments, and if there is an announcement to be made, we'll certainly be happy to make it. If there are no other questions that we have from the press, members of the press are welcome to give us a call. Catherine Chaffee, Director of Communications, at 995-2932. And she'll be happy to connect you with any of us, with our guest, Dr. Richard Becker, who's with us, Bridget Gibbons, and anyone else in county government. We appreciate you watching, and we hope this has been informational for you. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. We hope you have a good week ahead. Do remember that tomorrow, Tuesday, June 28th, is primary election day. The polls will open all across Westchester County, where there will be primaries for governor in both the Republican and the Democratic parties. There will be a primary for lieutenant governor on the Democratic side, and then there are a number of other races. There are 2 assembly races in side-by-side districts that span the Hudson River. There's local village election, primary elections in the village of Mamaroneck, and there are some other local party positions that are up for grabs. If you have any questions, go to our website, westchestergov.com, click on the Board of Elections, and you can find a listing of some of the elections that are coming up. Most likely you've received some political mail over the course of the last few days, and that will pretty much inform you as to whatever is happening in your backyard. But the gubernatorial primary itself does involve every registrant in Westchester County who is either a Democrat or a Republican, and the polls will open tomorrow at 6 a.m., and they will close at 9 p.m., and we encourage you to take advantage of your opportunity to cast your vote. That will select the candidates who will run in November in the level of governor, assembly, and then some of the local candidates. And then, of course, we hope that you all have a safe Independence Day weekend that's ahead. Our normal report for Monday will be delayed, most likely to Tuesday the 5th. We'll announce that for press purposes, but we hope you have a wonderful celebration of the founding of our nation. We are all very lucky and blessed that we were born in this country, or we have found our way to this country. This is a country that gives us much opportunity and much freedom, but it is not an automatic that it will always be that way. We have to work to protect it. We know that our veterans have fought to protect those rights, but we as average everyday citizens also have to fight to protect that right. And I hope that we all take on not just the advantages of citizenship, but the responsibilities of citizenship, one of which is to vote. I wish you a good day. I'm George Latimer, County Executive.